There we go. Hey, John.
There we go. Hey, Eric. How are you tonight?
Should have waited 10 more seconds before starting the audio. I'm yawning. I'm good.
That's good. That's good. Yeah.
We were getting ready, and I was trying to do a quick brew install for something to try to get it done for one of my little sections to talk about, and it's still going.
Well, the first thing it has to do is update Ruby.
Yeah.
Do all its stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
I haven't done it in a while, so it's still busy in the middle. It's still in the middle of its own update. So it's all good, though.
It's
all
okay.
good, though.
All right. All right. I'm curious as to what that will be, but all right. I guess you'll tell me about it.
Skip it all together. Yeah. So how was your weekend?
My weekend was good. My weekend was really good. Weather was awesome. It was Mother's Day, family day, family weekend. We didn't actually, we didn't go anywhere. I guess we went out to eat, which was nice. A little ironic because my wife really doesn't particularly like steak, and we have a lot of, we have a lot of steak because we have lots of meat in the freezer, but we wound up going to the Outback Steakhouse, mainly for a bloomin' onion.
Oh, there you go.
But it was quite tasty, and I don't even remember the last time I've been to an Outback Steakhouse. Even long before the COVID, but
that was not in your rotation, huh?
No. I mean, it's good. It's good. It's just it's a little too rich for my blood. I'm kind of more into the $12 or $13 meals instead of the $25, $26, $30 meals.
Right.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just cheap. I don't know. But let's see what else happened this weekend. Our fence is totally completed. Didn't quite happen this weekend, but it happened Tuesday.
Just the posts or the whole thing?
The whole thing. Posts, wire, gates, everything. 100% done.
I'm going to have to come out and check it out.
I think it basically took them 5 days to do what it took my wife and I an entire summer to do. Yeah. So, the having the right equipment is awesome. And they had a crew of people that were very hardworking.
Yeah.
But like, for example, they had, when you put up wire fence, they have these big heavy duty staples that you put in. They're kind of, I don't know, they're heavy duty metal. And, I have pounded in, I don't know about thousands, I'll say hundreds of those staples. And they're not trivial to put in. But these guys had like a Milwaukee, like a stapler or something like a powered stapler that was awesome. I was watching them do it going, okay, next time I have to build some fence like this, John's going to get himself another toy because that would be awesome. And they had the, when my wife and I were doing fencing, I have an auger on the back of the tractor. We would dig a hole and we would put a post down in it and we would put cement down in there. And then we would let it sit for a week and work on the previous week's section of fence while it cured. And, so we were, we went slowly through everything. These guys had a boom on the back of a tractor with a big weight on it. And they just drove the poles in. And I had heard of this, and I think I'd watched some stuff on YouTube, but I'd never actually been right next to it. Sure worked well. And they had what they call a story pole, right? So that every post is the exact same height.
Right.
It was job well done. Job well done. So I feel like I got my money's worth. I purchased an entire summer for not a terrible amount of money. That's the way I'm looking at it.
Well, having the right tools is
I know.
all you need.
Right? It's impressive. So then the other thing I was going to say for the intro here, because I think I mentioned that Swarm, didn't I? That the friend of ours got.
Yeah, you got
week.
a Swarm, but you didn't know if you got the Queen or not, or something like that.
Yeah. Well, so he called me up the other night and was like, I looked in the hive and I don't think we caught the Queen. I didn't see anything. They're packing it full of nectar, but I don't see any brood. And what do I do? And so I was like, well, you can buy a queen and figure out where that is, or I've got a couple of hives. I can just bring up a frame of eggs, or I've got some frames that have some capped queen cells on them that I'm trying to experiment with. And he's like, well, that'd be awesome. So I went up yesterday and brought just a small, 3 frames in a box. And then we went through the swarm colony, and there wasn't any capped brood because it takes 6 to 7 days, I think, to cap, maybe a day or two for the queen to start laying. So, it only was a week ago. So, as we were going through it, though, we saw larvae because bee is a egg for like 3 days and then a larva for like 3 days, and then the bees cap it over, and the larva grows for I should know this off the top of my head, and I don't. I think it's 21 days for a worker, 24-ish days for a drone, and 16 days for a queen. Anyway, I might be a day or two off there. Anyway, so as we were looking through the frames, we saw eggs and we saw larvae. So I'm like, no, we got the queen, and so we found it, and I experimented, and we marked her with ink, so she'll be easier to find in the future. That will be the 4th queen I have marked. So I'm learning. I'm practicing, and then that's put a little dot of paint on her thorax, so she's easier to see on a frame. Anyway,
got it.
So I went ahead and left the nuke up there with the 3 frames of larvae and eggs, and we'll check back in 2 weeks, and if they hatch out, then he'll have 2 colonies, 0 to 2, which will be cool. So that was kind of fun. Yeah. How about you? What'd you do this weekend?
So I tested out my new grill.
I had hoped you would tell me that.
And
I hope you tested it with not just briquettes, but food.
No, yes. we and I went out and bought not expensive steaks, but decent steaks that had not been pre-frozen. We'll try it nice. Got it started up and discovered one thing, because this was all new to me, because you can't do briquettes. You have to use.
This is like the
actual
charcoal. Is it charcoal?
Yeah. No. Yeah.
I've messed
I should
you
know
up.
what the name. It's hardwood that has been turned into charcoal. I guess there's a whole process. I don't remember the name now, but yeah. So it's a hardwood, and it takes a little bit longer. So I discovered that it takes a little bit longer to get up to temperature than my current Weber grill with, the chimney and charcoal.
Okay.
But I am and have always been an intentional griller, not an impromptu one. So planning that extra 20 minutes, to get the grill up to temperature is fine with me.
I am so not an intentional griller. I am okay, fine. Maybe I'm an intentional smoker. Okay, I got to get this in, But yeah, grilling tends to be go out, flip it on, throw the burgers on. Anyway, okay, intentional grill away.
Yeah, so we got it going, and oh my goodness, And there may have been a little bit of placebo effect in there, or I wanted it to taste so good that it actually probably tastes better, but it was so good.
Okay.
It was so tasty. So I had some tasty steaks that we had done. But that's the only thing I've done so far, because that was Mother's Day as well.
You didn't even grow vegetables while you were at it?
No, I only did the steaks. I wanted to just see how, because it was pristine, completely untouched. So I was like, let's mess it up a little bit, let's get, anyways. So it was very tasty, but I haven't used it since. But it was funny because it was Sunday and it actually started to rain on me. I'm like, you're just not going to let me. Anyways, but yes, it was very tasty. I'm very excited about trying it again. And next time, trying some different vegetables, figuring out how things work next. And then I am very much looking forward to trying to do a brisket, like an all-day long. I've been watching YouTube videos, John.
Oh, okay.
I want to do a brisket.
Okay.
So I am very excited about this.
Well, okay. So since you're doing the brisket research, send me the best video.
I will do that.
Okay. I'm hoping that it has have the temperature at approximately 162 degrees, because you'll be like, okay, I'm looking at my monitor or my thermometer, and I'll be like, yeah, I punched the number to be 162. I don't know.
Mine says 225. It's like, keep it between 225 and 250. I'm like, okay. But yeah. Anyways.
Okay.
We'll see.
All right.
We'll see.
Experimentation. That's a pretty tasty experimentation.
Yes. I'm very excited about this.
No problem about that.
All right.
All right. That's a lot about grills.
Yeah.
That's a lot about grills.
Ready to move on.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong about grills.
No. But it's not a gas grill. I'm trying to figure out how to make the segue there.
Nothing wrong with gas grills. Oh, maybe gas grills take a pipeline? No.
Yeah, I don't know if you saw that. Well, that's not even. Of course you saw.
Yes.
There was the big story this week, end of last week. One of the major pipelines on the East Coast that runs fossil fuels between Texas and New York and all parts in between was apparently hit with ransomware, and so it was shut down. So I think we'll just link to, if you are on the internet at all, you have seen the story. But I just went and pulled their actual press release and just followed along. They've been releasing updates pretty much on a daily basis as to what happened. So May 7th, they learned they were victims of a cyber attack involving ransomware. And so they halted their pipeline operations to make sure nothing happened. They hired a third-party security firm, contacted law enforcement, federal agencies, got the ball rolling. May 10th, so 3 days after they were hit, they started to bring the pipeline segments back up online and had figured out how to deliver gasoline and other fuels that they supply through other mechanisms other than the pipeline. And I'm sure you saw a lot across Twitter about empty, gas stations with long lines, gas stations with no actual gas.
I saw some pictures of people, and I'm like, please tell me that this is something else, but with garbage sacks full of gasoline in their trunk.
I saw someone with like plastic barrels in their back of their pickup. I did not see a garbage bag, because it was like 6 or 7 garbage bags. And yeah. Well, that can't be real.
That was my, I'm like, that gas is just going to eat right through that plastic, right?
Yeah. That's not even a short-term solution. Anyway, so then the on the 11th, so yesterday, we're recording on Wednesday, May 12th in the evening. Yesterday, I saw in their press release, they had an interesting comment, which was consistent with our safety policies and regulatory requirements. Colonial has increased aerial patrols of our pipeline right away and deployed more than 50 personnel to walk and drive the roughly 5,000 miles of pipeline each day. So now they got, my math is right, one person per 100 miles of pipeline every day, just checking, making sure it's okay. And then today,
okay, hold on. I'm gonna do a quick like follow up, because evidently Snopes says that the picture of gasoline in trash bags was actually from 2019, but that didn't stop. The reason why I was like, that must be real, because the U.S. Consumer Product Safety Commission tweeted today saying, "Do not fill plastic bags with gasoline." Like they did say, to your point, use only containers approved for fuel. But I will for your benefit, I'm going to paste this image into our notes, and it is horrifying.
That's crazy sauce.
Anyway, so thank you, Snopes. Snopes did the research. Evidently, that was from
2019.
2019.
But still, someone actually attempted to do that, which, okay.
What was that? Darwin Award?
Yeah.
All right, go ahead. I forget where we were.
May 12th, today.
May 12th.
So just a few hours ago, so I think 5 p.m. Eastern, Colonial Pipeline initiated the restart of its entire pipeline operation. So from the 7th to the 12th, so pretty much down for 5 days. The quote here, though, is, following this restart, it will take several days for the product delivery supply chain to return to normal. Some markets served by Colonial Pipeline may experience or continue to experience intermittent service interruptions during the startup period. Colonial will move as much gasoline, diesel, and jet fuel as safely possible and will continue to do so until markets return to normal. So it sounds like things are kicking back up, and by the end of this week or by next week, things should be back to normal on the East Coast, at least, hopefully, for any of our East Coast friends. Again, it's a reminder, if it's online, it's vulnerable, because no software or hardware is perfect, and it's all about how we handle things that happen and what we do to try to mitigate the potential damage. And I don't know, but seems to be handling relatively well.
Yeah. The other thing about this story that I thought was, I'll say interesting, was the fact that, it's believed to be dark side ransomware that was the type. And the criminal actors behind DarkSide actually released a statement, at least on it was on a forum, but it says, quote, we are apolitical. We do not participate in geopolitics. Do not need to tie us with a defined government and look for our motives, the statement said. Our goal is to make money and not creating problems for society. From today, we introduce moderation and check each company that our partners want to encrypt to avoid social consequences in the future.
We're bad guys, but we don't want to be that bad of bad guys.
Yeah, gosh. I saw and retweeted somebody. I don't remember exactly what it said, but it said something like a ransomware attack is a pen test in which you negotiate the fees after instead of before, or something like that.
Right.
It's bad. So bad. But I was going to say the U.S. government, well, I mean, Europe as well, or the EU, have really taken, they've taken down some, some pretty sizable operators in the last, year or so. And I think that this sort of impact will cause costs to be imposed on them, which is a good thing. So, good to see. And there was another follow-on today, late today. I think this is really breaking. I think it's yet to be seen what this will do, but the Biden administration issued an executive order to dramatically increase the security stance of government agencies. So that will be interesting. Follow up maybe next week.
Yeah, so there you go. On to the second article, which was the one that I was hoping to actually mention, was in the last week, GitHub posted a note that you can now use your SSH keys tied with your YubiKey. So, right, normally, for a while you've been able to do...
How?
Use your YubiKeys connected to websites using the WebAuthn we've talked about before. But with SSH, OpenSSH 8.2, there are some new keys that allow you to generate a private key that is tied to your security key. So not only can you protect that private key with a password, you can also protect that private key with a security key or a YubiKey. So, and then it's just like any other SSH key. Instead of requiring you to type in a password, it's wired in to make you tap your little YubiKey or your security key. And what I had planned on doing was trying to get that working so I could actually talk about it, because I thought that was a cool. I've seen this before and read through this before, but of course macOS does not ship with the right version of SSH yet. It's on 8.1 and this is not available until 8.2. So I was in the process of trying to upgrade OpenSSH to 8.2 and I keep running into issues. So, and it's still downloading, 9 minutes, 20 seconds left. So maybe I'll be able to claim success by the end of the show. But anyways, I want to play around with this and see how well it works, because I wonder if you could just have your private key with no password, but require a YubiKey or, a security key. Mm-hmm. And then, it makes sense. Just let's not, I'm all for getting rid of passwords. So.
Yeah. Oh, this is totally exciting. My cat agrees.
Yeah. So there you go. So I went down a rabbit hole trying to get it to work and stumbled across a bunch of different articles on how to make it work on macOS, and I have not gotten very far. So maybe yeah,
unlike password-protected SSH keys, clients do not cache security key taps for multiple operations.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have to. It looks like you tap your security key for remote operations. Each remote operation.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, you just leave that plugged into your laptop or wherever, and when you have to actually do an operation. So specifically for GitHub, if you want to upload, you're doing a
push, or
you just hit the command. It says tap your security key. You tap the security key, and boom, it goes. I like it.
I'm excited. That's very cool.
One step closer to no more passwords.
I know. I wonder if the next patch of macOS will update OpenSSH.
All right. That's what I brought for this week.
Okay. I have two, I think. So my first article has a logo. So this is the Frag Attacks. So this is interesting. So I want to read a couple things here. A Belgian security researcher discovered a series of vulnerabilities that impact the Wi-Fi standard, with some bugs dating back as far as 1997 and affecting devices sold for the last 24 years.
Wow.
And the devices are vulnerable even if the Wi-Fi standard security protocols are activated, such as WEP and WPA, because 3 of the discovered vulnerabilities are design flaws in the Wi-Fi standard and therefore affect most devices. The rest are vulnerabilities caused by widespread programming mistakes in the implementation, implementations, and then experiments indicate that every Wi-Fi product is affected by at least one vulnerability and that most are affected by several. So this is, I'm not sure how. It's I don't know. So widespread, but also like one of the basic mitigations is to just ensure that you're using HTTPS connections, but that, not everything is going to be over HTTPS. Anyway, this same researcher previously discovered the Crack and Dragonblood attacks. I think at least Dragonblood, of which we've talked about previously,
also has a logo.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think there were 12 vulnerabilities here, so clearly he's been collecting them for a while. So that getting ready to do a big disclosure on. I've already forgotten the name of the conference that he was talking at.
Black Hat, Usenix Security,
Usenix. There we go. But let's see. It says Van Hoff's previous findings have helped the Wi-Fi standard improve its security posture, but his latest findings reside in older sections of the Wi-Fi protocol, not improved by his previous discoveries and already deployed with devices in the real world for decades. Just like for his previous 2, he reported his findings to the Wi-Fi Alliance, who for the past 9 months have been working to correct the standard and guidelines and work with device vendors to release firmware patches. So, he hasn't been rushing this, I guess, which is awesome. Responsible disclosure is great. Mm-hmm. Let's see. In the paper, which I have up here somewhere. So the actual link, so it's fragattacks.com, because yes, it has a website and a logo. Oh, actually, it says the research will be presented at the Usenix Security Conference, and a longer talk with more background will also be given at Black Hat USA. So there you go, Black Hat. So there, on the page, at least in the under details, there's some a little bit more information about what the types of vulnerabilities are, and it has at least a couple of these have to do with how the they're called frag attacks because they're dealing with how Wi-Fi handles packet fragmentation and whether or not the Wi-Fi devices accept unencrypted frames even when connected to a protected Wi-Fi network. So, and if they're able to emit a, let's see, it says, let me read one of these things. First, certain Wi-Fi devices accept any unencrypted frame even when connected to a protected Wi-Fi network. This means the attacker doesn't have to do anything special. 2 out of 4 tested home routers were affected by this vulnerability. Several Internet of Things devices and some smartphones were affected. Additionally, many Wi-Fi dongles on Windows will wrongly accept plaintext frames when they are split into several plaintext fragments. Additionally, certain devices accept plaintext aggregated frames that look like handshake messages. An adversary can exploit this by sending an aggregated frame whose starts resemble a handshake message and whose second subframe contains the packet that the adversary wants to inject. A vulnerable device will first interpret this frame as a handshake message, but will subsequently process it as an aggregated frame. In a sense, one part of the code will think the frame is a handshake message and will accept it even though it's not encrypted. Another part will instead see it as an aggregated frame and will process the packet that the adversary wants to inject. So, it's... and then it goes on through. So for the aggregation attack, it turns out that a portion of the header isn't protected. it says the is aggregated flag is not authenticated and can be modified by an adversary, meaning a victim can be tricked into processing the encrypted and transported data in an unattended manner. And an adversary can abuse this to inject arbitrary network packets by tricking the victim into connecting to their server, then setting the is aggregated flag of carefully selected packets. Practically all tested devices were vulnerable to this attack. The ability to inject packets can in turn be abused to intercept a victim's traffic by making it use a malicious DNS server. And they have a demo of that. So, anyway, whole bunch of stuff about this.
Thumbs up on the logo from me.
Yeah.
I like the logo.
It's a good one. It's a good one. Let's see. I think I was going to say one more thing regarding patches. So this was actually announced on Patch Tuesday. So what was that? Yesterday? Was that just yesterday? Did this come out yesterday? I guess, man, it seems like it was longer ago than that, but time flies. So Microsoft delivered fixes yesterday for 3 of the 12 bugs that impact Windows systems. It says Cisco, HP Enterprise, Sierra Wireless have also released patches. Other vendors are scheduled to release them in the coming weeks. And then there's some videos and stuff of the attacks in progress, and there's a long paper out on the website fragattacks.com. So anyway, that was number 1.
Nice.
My second one. Oh, this is funny. I'm a dual Catalan. It's a dual Catalan week because my second one is also from The Record, and this is one of the things that I think I don't think you think about really is that there's on a modern device, there's software in places that are not the OS. I feel like we talked about this at some point, maybe last year, for another Wi-Fi chip vulnerability. But this is a vulnerability in Qualcomm's modem, cellular modem, which runs software. And around a third of all smartphones in the world, it says, I'm quoting, are believed to be affected by a new vulnerability in a Qualcomm modem component that can grant attackers access to the device's call and SMS history and even audio conversations. So devices that use Qualcomm's MSM chips today include high-end smartphone models sold by Google, Samsung, LG, Xiaomi, and OnePlus, just to name a few. This was announced in a paper by Checkpoint, and here's a quote from that. During our investigation, we discovered a vulnerability in a modem data service that can be used to control the modem and dynamically patch it from the application processor. This means an attacker could have used this vulnerability to inject malicious code into the modem from Android, giving them access to the device's user call history and SMS, as well as the ability to listen to the device user's conversations. A hacker can also exploit the vulnerability to unlock the device's SIM, thereby overcoming the limitations imposed by service providers on it. So, the ironic thing is that Checkpoint says that exploiting the vulnerability can't be done by hiding the malformed TLV packets inside third-party apps running on the OS, especially on Android, where the MSM component is protected by SE Linux security policies. So, in a fit of irony, it's not vulnerable from the device itself. You have to do it over the air. So, it says, quote, researchers say the TLV packet can be hidden inside radio, cellular communications, or multimedia content sent to the device, which, when unpacked, can reach the vulnerable QMI interface. So, ironic that, the OS hardening security policies protect, those components from that attack surface, but not with their native, not when they're doing the task that they're designed to do, aka pull frames off of the air and process them. So
right,
little interesting data there. So the worst part of this, though, I think, there's maybe many bad things, but so Check Point told Qualcomm last year, and Qualcomm released patches for the firmware, but this is firmware. So Qualcomm releases the patches to the device manufacturers, but the device manufacturers, or the phone makers, have to actually integrate and release patches to the users.
Right. Yep.
And what's the percentage of those that have actually A, been released, and B, been installed? So the quote here is, the mobile vendors themselves must apply the fix. Qualcomm says it has notified all Android vendors. We do not know who or who did not patch. Wah, wah, wah. Sorry, this does not end on a happy note. All right, so I would say to patch if you're an Android user, but it's not up to you. So if you have a patch available from your phone manufacturer, then you should absolutely deploy it, but you don't get a choice.
Alrighty.
All right. Yep. How about something fun? What you got fun for me this week?
So I don't know if mine's actually fun or just interesting.
Okay.
I stumbled across this and thought this was interesting because I have been reading stories over the last couple of years about, hey, we need to get off fossil fuels, and a number of articles as well about, hey, maybe we were a little too exuberant in our hatred of nuclear power and nuclear reactors. Maybe we should have pursued those in the U.S. anyways. Other countries, I think France is like 90 some odd +% nuclear powered. But so this one caught my eye. There's what they're calling nuclear microreactors. So they're nuclear reactors that basically you can throw on the back of a truck, like a semi-truck, and you can roll those around the world. They can integrate with, one of the notes here is it can integrate with renewables. So a solar panel within microgrids, maybe a small, a microreactor might be helpful, useful to kind of solve what happens when the sun goes down. The
sun isn't shining, or it's a particularly rainy day.
Yes, and you still need to have power. And anyways, so the U.S. Department of Energy, which is where this article was linked from, which is where I saw it, looks like they're going to start investing in / promoting / floating the idea around of microreactors, nuclear microreactors, and apparently they could be showing up as early as the mid-2020s. I will be curious to see where this goes.
I feel like I read a couple of years ago about small nuclear reactors in Alaska.
I mean, if you think about it, that's got to be something. We have nuclear submarines and nuclear aircraft carriers that have been operating for quite some time now. This is, I'm quite sure, much smaller than a submarine or a aircraft carrier, but I'll be curious to see where this goes and how it fits into energy policy going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. So I just did a quick search. I don't know that this is exactly what I read before, but some of this stuff. Oh yeah, this is like a 2011 study, and then there was some 2019 updates. So I bet it was 2019 that I saw some stuff. But I'll throw the link in our Slack here. But
we have enough episodes now that I am pretty sure I've forgotten stuff that we've actually. It's possible we actually talked about it.
I'm not saying that I talked about it on the show.
I know.
I'm just saying that I remember reading about that because that's sort of up my wheelhouse for and it's big in Alaska's big for villages that are well off the grid. There's no grid. Right. And so they're not off the grid. There's no grid. But you have small villages, so they might have a diesel generator or a small plant of some sort. But having a small reactor that you can basically drop in a hole for 10 years and it'll power the town is a really appealing, a potentially really appealing option, assuming that obviously safety is number one. Safety is job one.
Yes, please.
But yeah, exactly. So anyway, fun stuff.
All right.
Fun stuff. Yeah, that's very cool. Okay, I have the weirdest article. I think the weirdest article, and ironically, this was also given to me by two people. Well, it was given to me by somebody at work because they know that I like bees, and this is about bees. And then my wife actually told me about it too. And I was like, oh yeah, I read that. But this is, we just read this first sentence. Dutch researchers on Monday said they have trained honeybees to stick out their tongues when presented with the coronavirus's unique scent, acting as a kind of rapid test. So here's your COVID-19 test. A honeybee sticking its proboscis out.
Do I have a little tiny clear box that I carry with me with a bee in it and just, keep an eye on it, wait till it sticks its tongue out and I go, oh, run the other way.
Well, so, there wasn't a ton of data in this article, but there's a great picture. And if you look carefully, I don't know if you're looking at this picture. If you look carefully, it looks like the I'm going to call it the bee harness appears to be 3D printed.
It is.
You see the telltale marks. So it's a Pavlovian conditioning method. It says the scientists trained roughly 150 bees with the Pavlovian conditioning method in which they gave the insects a sugar water solution each time they were exposed to the smell of the coronavirus. When the bees were presented with a sample that was negative for the virus, they received no reward. So after repeatedly extending their tongues, technically called proboscises, for the sugar water, the scientists said the bees learned to stick out their tongues for a positive sample even with no reward offered. Within hours, the insects were trained to identify the virus a few seconds after encountering it, the researchers said. So basically, stimulation and reward.
Yeah, multiple things to pull apart there. One, I didn't know a virus had a scent. And two, who says, who could probably smell the coronavirus? Bees.
Evidently Dutch researchers.
Good on you.
Yeah, I don't know. It says, let's see. How accurate an individual bee is, I'm not sure. So that's what they say here. While the research continues, Vanderpool said the scientists believe they can achieve a 95% accuracy rate if they use multiple insects to sniff each sample. So basically, if you have a 80% true positive rate, if you do it for 3 of them, can you take the average or 5 or something like that? I don't know. But the argument for this, though, is, PCR tests may not be easily available in many places of the world, but honeybees are everywhere.
Here's a line from the article. They're working on a machine that could train multiple bees simultaneously to make the diagnoses, as well as a biochip that would use genes from the cells that bees smell with to detect the virus. Wow.
Fingers crossed.
I don't know what to think about that.
Right?
Okay, go research. I like it. Thumbs up.
Go science.
This is, if I hadn't read this article, this is a fascinating article.
I don't know what else to say. I don't know what else to say.
I know.
Go science. Go bees. Okay, there you go. You gotta put a copy or the image of the bee, and the Q-tip as the chapter art for this.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. There is so much in this article here. What a fascinating article.
Right?
Huh. I learned lots of things. Like the U.S. Department of Defense has studied wasps and grasshoppers in a concept known as insect sniffing in the latest 1990s for detecting bombs or explosives. Huh.
You know what's the difference between science and messing around?
One of my favorite quotes.
I know.
Writing it down.
Writing it down.
Love it.
All right,
dude.
Call it a show.
Yep.
I'll talk to you later, Eric. Have a good night.
See you, John. Bye.